What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Wednesday night. Welcome back. This is Around the VLA, Season 4, Episode 3. 3 episodes in the span of 1 week, Vince Zanzucchi. I'm Rob St. Clair, live from Chicago. That's Vince Zanzucchi, live from Phoenix, Arizona. We have a lot to talk about. It is fully volleyball season now. It is VLA season. We had a banger of a tournament over the weekend. Vince and I were in San Diego for the West Division Cup. We came to you live last week to kind of talk about the whole season. Then last Friday night from the gym as we were setting up, we did a little preview show for the event. And Vince, I'm curious to go back and revisit some of our old takes from that show, see how good we did on predicting how well some of these teams were going to do. Because I have an opinion on this, but let's hear yours. Do you think that this West Division Cup from 2024 was that the craziest tournament in terms of like on court results that the VLA has ever had?
I think that given how established the VLA is now, it definitely was, I think, the biggest surprise for any of the cups. I could have called it, I guess, in a way. I think that you see the results afterwards, and always hindsight 2020. Not really surprising, but especially after the way you saw the teams play. But prediction wise, you can't you can't predict something like that. A 7 and a 5 seed battling it out to win the West Division Cup. I think that's pretty surprising right there.
Yeah, a 7 seed and a 5 seed, with the 7 seed ending up winning the tournament out of 12 teams, is pretty insane. I was just scrolling back through my phone because, Vince, I have receipts. You did text me. You texted me that you low key thought that Team 9 out of Chandler, Arizona, was gonna win this tournament, and so I'm trying to find the receipts so I can give you credit because you called it, man. The Phoenix Ascension Tier 2 affiliate, Team 9 or Team IX out of Chandler, Arizona, the 7 seed, came out of nowhere and won the West Division Cup. Although they came out of nowhere to me. They did not come out of nowhere to you because you've been seeing them play in Arizona. You jumped on the broadcast with me on Sunday for the final and just told me sort of what has been going on behind the scenes with this team and sort of what's helped them get to this point. So tell the people who might not have caught that piece, like what is this Team IX? What are they even doing here? How did this happen?
There's a lot of talent in Arizona, clearly, and it's really tough to put it all in one place, right? I mean, especially given the circumstances of what the league is and what we can provide as a league, and a lot of that comes with like financial stability, let's just say. And what Team 9 really does is give opportunities to a lot of the younger players. I mean, look at these faces on there, a bunch of children out there.
It is a bunch of young kids, bunch of young kids.
There's a bunch of children, and I mean, the thing is that these guys, they're putting in the work. I mean, they're grinding right now. I mean, a lot of these guys still, NAIA players. You got a lot of Ottawa University guys out there, and then you got a couple ACU grads, and then you got Jesus Iziguera right there. Mexican national team, and I mean, young faces and a great group to really kind of build something with. And here it is. You see the result just after one tournament. But the thing is these guys have been playing pretty much nonstop. I mean, we started really going after it at the beginning of September, and really these guys have had the most opportunity to go out and play outside of Arizona, even more so than Ascension has, because they've gone to a OC tournament. OC Resilient had a tournament. They went up to the B League, played a tournament there, won that.
Las
Um,
Vegas, yeah.
yep, and these guys have been they had the opportunity to play Wave actually earlier in the year, but they had some car malfunctions on the way out and didn't actually make it to the tournament or to the match, and didn't end up playing. But so I mean, these guys have had a lot of opportunity to play and kind of grow as a group. And so I'm really not surprised that they had the success that they had this weekend. And Tyler Gardenhire doing a great job of not only motivating them to and establishing the main group and getting them all together, but also just being able to call some of the tough shots late in the tournament. There's a lot of guys that I mean, he made some decisions that I probably wouldn't have made, but that's why they won the tournament. So he called all the right shots late in the tournament. I gave him a couple pointers here and there. He ignored them. Nice job. But yeah, so I mean, these guys definitely have been putting the work in, and you're going to see a lot come from this group. I mean, some names already. Obviously, Gardenhire, Brendan Hart have already been playing with Ascension for a long time, and then you've got some of the new faces here. Emery Uten, who was also on Team Novice last year, took third at the VLA Cup there. So I mean, these guys aren't inexperienced by any means, just young. So
Right.
they a lot to blossom out of this group.
Yeah, I mean, Team Nine gets so much credit because I mean, you can look at the photo there with the celebration, a bunch of young kids, but they also brought a lot of bodies and they used them. That's the thing that was kind of most impressive to me is that they mixed and matched so many different players and their level stayed really, really high. And it's normally such a learning curve to figure out how to sort of play that game in a VLA Cup Series tournament, but they definitely walked a couple tightropes a couple times because as we were saying on the broadcast on Sunday during the final, they went to 5 in both the quarterfinal Sunday morning and the semifinal Sunday, like right after that. So they played the absolute maximum amount of volleyball that they could have, and still got to the final with more in the tank than their opponents did. And we'll talk about the Dallas Dogs in a second, but uh, I was so impressed by the energy that they still were able to play with, the ability to dig balls, and then once they dug those balls, like these crazy out of system plays that they were able to give hittable balls to their wings and hit recycle shots or actually score in some situations, and the little details, man, like the stuff that you only get when you play together as a team a lot was there for Team Nine, and that was really, really impressive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, these guys are experienced together. A lot of these guys, teammates in college, added a couple of really key pieces to some, OUAZ alumni guys, and that kind of goes into what we've been talking about with what's successful in the VLA. I mean, it isn't just a group of hodgepodge guys. I mean, we thrown it out to get your alumni teams together from ex colleges you played club with or whatever, and that's kind of how you can be successful in this league, and kind of establish something. And I think that's kind of a really key point right here is you add a couple of pieces to a core unit and you're going to get success.
100%, and they've done that, and Tyler Gardenhire gets a lot of credit, not only for spearheading kind of the organization, but also won MVP of the tournament, and that was pretty well deserved. We had a great time talking to him after the broadcast. So let's kind of jump into the whole tournament and see how everything broke down a little bit. Here is the final bracket. Team 9 beat the Dallas Dogs in the final in a sweep. We'll talk about Dallas in a bit. Big shout out to the SoCal Rising Tide and the Nash Villains. Both finished tied for third. Both lost. I think both of them were 15-13 5-setters in the semis. So you could have easily seen those two teams playing in the title game as well. I think, yeah, we had some consolation games as well. We can look at those results. Yeah, so I think Ascension and Unicorns tied for 5th. Wave and Kingsman tied for 7th. Lost Travelers and Tall Ones tied for 9th, and Riptide and Valor tied for 11th. But I think Valor, if I'm not mistaken, was the only team not to get any points throughout the weekend. Riptide won a match as well. So a lot of good ball top to bottom. We'll definitely talk about all the teams a little bit. But I also wanted to congratulate the all-tournament team because these dudes in particular were just spectacular all weekend long. And starting with Tyler Gardenhire, I mean, you got a 6'6" setter who can make every play. Every second contact play, every first contact play, every third contact play, a huge presence in attacking and blocking and defending as well, and ran just an outstanding offense, really diverse, really balanced, got the middle involved a lot. And Vince, you know Tyler's game really well, and you having a lot of setting experience. What were your thoughts on how he played, especially in the final?
This is one of the times. I mean, I followed Tyler for the past 3-4 years now. His career at Ottawa University, and he's ran into situations typically late in tournaments, NAIA tournaments, where, in my opinion, they've had the most talented team a handful of times going into nationals, and I've seen his teams crumble kind of around him. And no offense to the guys on their teams. I mean, everybody has bad matches from here and there, but I've seen it happen to him where he literally had no way to really pick it up, right? And he's talked to me about it, where it was kind of a fear of his, where he would get concerned about guys just not showing up in the big matches, and he's talked about how he didn't really know how to really motivate the guys to kind of bring that up, right? And one thing that he's done is he recognizes that in himself, that he needs to kind of be that leader. And I think this was a really good example of him being able to kind of keep guys motivated, keep guys focused. And you saw it when Emery Uten went down due to a concussion. Then he is kind of the next man up mentality. And he was able to motivate the team, rally the team, instead of when you lose your main OH1 to an injury, then it's he didn't backtrack. He really kept the guys going. So I think that's really what kind of showed me his MVP abilities more so than his actual playing. I mean, the setting and everything like that was fantastic. His block looked great, but I think it was more his ability to really rally the guys when it really mattered. I think that's what was important.
And I mean, if you watch the end of the broadcast, once the match was over and we gave out the trophy and did a couple interviews, I didn't even have to say that Tyler Gardenhire was the MVP of the tournament. His team already knew. His team was chanting MVP from the second I walked out onto the court with that microphone, and that they felt the impact that he had. They got on his back and they followed his lead, and I completely agree. The mastery of the whole team on the court and off was really on display, and that was just awesome to see from a setter like that. And similarly, I mean, I got to give another tremendous shout out to our all tournament setter. Not the MVP, but we get another setter on the board in Gabe Quinones from the Dallas Dogs. Now, he was the only setter on the Dogs roster. This is classic Dallas. They've done this before. They rolled in with 9 guys. And with 9 guys, they got 13 points in 4 matches only, because they didn't get any points in the final. 13 points in 4 matches is completely insane. And the offense that Gabe ran, they have 4 very good wings that they mixed and matched. They really only had 2 middles. And also on defense, I was really impressed. To carry a team of 9 guys like that all the way to the final, beating 2 tier 1 teams in the process, was really impressive. So shout out to Gabe Quinones being named the all tournament team in the setter spot.
Yeah, he's always just set a solid offense for them.
Yep.
I can't ever recall a match ever not seeing him set for the Dogs. I don't
Plays
know
a lot.
if they had a backup setter before, but no, I mean he runs a great offense, and he really is a key proponent to their team and their success. And I mean what the Dogs were able to do based off of what he was able to do for them. I mean, he makes really, really good decisions, always sets a very hittable ball, and even just his defense. I mean, when we played him, Ascension played them, Keaton Berry just unloaded on a ball straight down 10-foot line, and he just popped it straight up, and it's just like, what do you do with that? I mean, you can't do anything. I mean, you gave your best swing, and he dug it like it was no big deal. And I mean, so that's the kind of player that he is.
That I mean, I was really impressed by the defensive ability of a lot of the teams at the West Division Cup. In particular, I think the final 4 teams, the teams that made the semifinals, kind of set themselves apart from the rest as far as ability to dig balls and then turn them into points. And that also includes the Nash Villains, and we'll talk about them as a team. But because it was their first VLA Cup Series tournament ever, they got 3rd and they got 8 points, and it was remarkably impressive what they did. But Vince, you had first-hand experience to Jeff Lamb on the outside for Nashville, tearing you and basically the rest of the tournament to pieces. And that all-tournament team nod was a no-brainer. What did you see from number 15 on the Nash Villains when you guys played them?
Yeah, the Nash Villains just had spectacular serve receive the entire time. They were never really out of system, and when they were, they took big, deep swings, really challenged the defense to make plays on them. And Jeff definitely was the key figure in that. His blocking on the right side. I mean, at least for us, I mean, we really didn't get anything going because he did such a good job of funneling to the libero or taking big angles away. I mean, just overall, his jump serve was fantastic. I mean, missed only a couple while bringing it pretty much the entire time. He just had a really, really good showing. The entire Villains team did.
Oh yeah.
Their pins were great. Their libero was great. CJ Rivaria, and I mean, but Jeff was definitely the anchor that got them to where they were, and a couple points, in that third set or that fifth set, and we'd probably be talking about three of these guys instead of just one of them. But I mean,
Right.
Jeff definitely was the key figure on their team.
Yeah, well said. And my personal favorite breakout player of this event was this Trenton Lance kid for the Dallas Dogs. And I talked to Daniel Jacobs on the VLA All Day broadcast on Saturday, and he told me about Trenton and just being like a kid that's been focusing mostly on the outdoor game. Had a chance to go play at Ball State Division I in college, and chose instead to pursue beach volleyball pretty much full time. He's been playing a lot of grass in the outdoor scene and like getting connected with some of these indoor players in Dallas-ish and kind of greater northern Texas. And uh, I think it's pretty safe to say, and I mean, I could even see all the Dallas guys throughout the tournament saying, "Yeah, we're pretty glad we brought this kid," because Trenton Lance blew me away with just point scoring ability at the outside hitter position. So he was doing everything: serving, a left side and pipe attacking, out of system swings, over 3-man blocks into the deep position 5 corner, ripping hard angles like inside the block. Like the kid in his first VLA event was just fearless and just scored and just swung over and over and over again. Even though I wouldn't say he had the best final, I wouldn't say anybody on Dallas did because they only had 9 guys. But Trenton Lance was outstanding, and I couldn't not give him a spot on the all tournament team.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with this 100%. I mean, we saw him in the second match of pool play, and yeah, again, he was really tough for us to handle. We actually couldn't handle him at all, if we're being honest. I mean, we didn't play the best match, but he just played solid all the way through, and we didn't really touch a lot on him, and he was pretty much everywhere. And defensively, really a solid outside hitter. Played great defense for a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's about 6'4", but there's that beach experience. You can tell he reads the game pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, a lot of opportunities. Just definitely demonstrated his ball control, and you can tell that he's definitely a refined outdoor player playing the indoor game. So that was pretty neat to see.
So when you put a kid like that across the court from Tim Johnson, you've really got something. You got something pretty terrifying on offense. And Tim Johnson, our all-tournament opposite, also from Dallas. The dude is a walking highlight reel. I said it on our preview show on Friday that we did from the gym that he's just spectacular every time you watch him. He touches so high. He can hit such crazy angles. He is just as threatening front and back court. And something I notice about some of the truly the best opposites in the game is that sometimes they're actually even better out of the back row, because those of them that are either big enough or like to broad jump forward enough or both actually have more space to work with when they end up working out of the back row. And I do kind of think that applies to Tim a little bit because he's up there so high. He has so much time to see the block and the defense in front of him, and he has the arm to hit just about every shot. He's the prototypical perfect like rock star scoring opposite that I love to watch. And I know he wasn't jump serving in the final. He was working through a couple cramps after playing all those matches, but the Dogs would not have gotten to that final without Tim Johnson.
Yeah, one thing I like about his swing, for one, you can't really read it.
No, you can't.
He's very accurate with his attack, and he doesn't ever get caught where he's trying to bounce a ball. You get that so often. You get a guy that's so high up there, touching the top of the antenna, and then he's bringing the ball down to the block, and they're getting block touches on him. He does a great job of hitting a deep trajectory and finding his spots that way, and not always out there just trying to bounce the ball and highlight. Trying to get the highlight reel bounce or anything like that. Like he very, very smart attacker. And he connects with Gabe very, very well. So, you know, and again, that experience, these guys, pretty much this group of Dogs players has been playing for the past, you know, year in the VLA. And there's a lot to be said with the guys getting that much experience and doing what they have.
100%. And we, of course, we got to get a Rising Tide player on the all tournament team. They, the reigning champs from last year, came up barely short. Like that semifinal that SoCal played against Dallas was awesome. It was a classic game, and I was really impressed by Kyler Prescio. And I knew him well coming in. Started at Stanford, then when Stanford was at the 11th hour of cutting their had cut their program, weren't sure if they were going to get it back. He transferred to Hawaii and played there, and has got a little bit of overseas experience. And it's been a while since, at least in the VLA, I've seen the middle be truly the primary go-to attacker for a team. And Kyler Prescio 100% was that for the Rising Tide. And all tournament long, he was available in and out of system. Setter was in weird spots. The different guys they had chucking the ball to him. He had a huge window. He was always ready for the ball. He hit a lot of good angles and blocked several balls as well along the way. So I was really impressed by his game. I hope he sticks around.
Yeah, you know, and that's always the thing. It's like we had a full roster of Rising Tide guys last year on the all tournament team for the West Division Cup, and then we didn't see, I don't think, all three of them the rest of the year. So,
Right.
you know, that's kind of the story with Rising Tide. It's you know, they're cycling in and out of players constantly, and their inconsistency with their rosters generally their downfall. So we'll see. Hopefully, Kyler Prescia does stick around, but you know, really, I guess we'll find out within the next couple of weeks.
And our other all tournament middle blockers, Trevin Cleesbay from Team 9. Vince, you were telling me about this kid on the broadcast. I hadn't seen him before, but you told me that he is known within Arizona. And that final that he had, I wish I had the stats in front of me, just because it seemed to me like he hit something like 7 for 8 with no errors and probably blocked 4 or 5 balls in 3 sets. And he had to have had double-digit points and just had a huge impact. And sometimes you see middle blockers that don't really have a huge impact, and he did, at least on the final. And I know he was a big part of getting Team 9 there. So you're more educated on the Trevin Cleesbay topic. What are your thoughts on the tournament that he had?
He's one of those guys. He's kind of a wild card, right? And not in a negative way by any means, but you know, you see a guy out at an open gym rec center league that, you know, he can just pull off all these gnarly things. You know, like you get the overpass, you can bounce it under the net. You know, that type of, you know, stuff, right? You know, it's just and he's that guy, except for he can do that at this level. You know, where he's gonna go out there and you think you're a setter that's gonna be able to get that 50-50 ball, you know, overpass on a middle, and somehow he still bounces on you. You know, he's that intelligent of a player. And when he's super motivated, he's just an incredible player. I know that he's been going a little bit back and forth between playing a little bit of right side and playing a little bit of middle. I hope he recognizes that, you know, of course, me always saying middles, you know you're hell at it. But you know, I mean, I hope he does recognize that his value there, because the truth of the matter is that he could be a deadly middle.
100%.
If he works at it, it's very natural for him. And I think that his connection with Tyler definitely shows what he can accomplish.
Totally. And I mean, I was a former middle. I tried for about a decade to get out of there, but my situation is completely different from Trevin, because Trevin belongs in the middle. He is so natural there, like you said, had such an awesome impact, and I think his ceiling there is endlessly high. So congratulations to him. And also the biggest shout out to Jesus Itzagire. I mean, that dude dug so many balls in that final in like demoralizing fashion too. Like he absorbed every one of Dallas's best possible swings. And I think the defensive ability of Team 9 in the final was a lot of what had to do with kind of deflating Dallas, at least how I felt it. I even said on the broadcast late in the second set, because it was 20-20, I said that I think this tournament might be decided in the next 5 minutes, because if Dallas were to go down 2-0, I'm not sure they have it within them to come back. And sure enough, like down the stretch there, it was a couple digs and a couple plays that Jesus Itzagire made that may have won Team 9 this tournament. And I love Jesus. I've broadcasted his games for the Mexican national team before, and it's always a pleasure to do his games in the VLA as well. And we couldn't have given this to any other libero. He was just that good. Sam Schuldenberg from Dallas was also good, but Jesus was just such a difference maker.
Yeah, we've had that discussion, or we had that discussion, I'd say, and you look at what Sam had in his value to the dogs, and I will say that I think that his value to the dogs and what he did for the dogs to get them to where they were was probably in a way a little bit more valuable than Jesus to Team 9. However, you couldn't deny what Jesus did out there. I mean, he was just unbelievable when he needed to be. And he kept the intensity in the back row up from all the guys. And I think one of the things that he did with that group, particularly in the semifinals when they were struggling a little bit, I shouldn't even say semifinals, the quarterfinals when they were playing the Unicorns.
Great point.
They had to get him back in there. I think set 3, 4, and 5 when they were down 2-1. He got back in there and he really got that defense fired up and the back row fired up. And so, I mean, it was really that kind of, put my opinion of where Jesus stood in the pecking order for liberos this weekend. Because before that, I felt like he was a little bit, coasting with the team, playing as well as they were. It's easy to play libero when your team's on fire, but when your team's down and you're back against the wall, and then you can step up and bring the team up, that's what shows your true value. And definitely accomplished that this weekend.
That's very well said. I agree. Yeah, the libero is a hard job. You got to carry an entire serve reception unit with you, and you have to be the defensive energy source for an entire team, whether things are going well or not so well. And I mean, the run that Team 9 made as we look at the bracket now, that, like I said, 5 setters in both the quarterfinal and the semifinal, all of them on Sunday, and they were down 2-0 to the Nashvilleans in the semis. They had to bring that back in a reverse sweep. And the way that Nashville stole those first 2 sets, I think they were both 26-24, and Team 9 had like the early set point advantage in both and couldn't get either of them done. And to be able to bring that back from going down 2-0 and probably feeling like you had both of those first 2 sets, that's an insane level of mental fortitude. And that and then the Rising Tide Dallas semifinal were both just spectacular volleyball games. It was awesome to be able to watch them both at the same time.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch both at the same time, but I was able to go back and review. And I get, Rising Tide, I feel like it comes down to what guys you have and are they going to be there the next day. Dallas Dogs, they're going to be there. There are only 9 of them. It seems like there's only 10 to choose from in Texas at the moment, but so you go there and Dogs and Rising Tide. I mean, I'll take Dogs almost probably 9 times out of 10 just because you know what they're going to bring. Rising Tide, you just don't know. As far as the Nashvilleans, you got to give them so much credit. They're just storming into the season, coming out getting, I think they're at 18 points right now.
That's right.
Doing all the right things. TJ is doing a fantastic job out there with that program already. I mean, it's like a Unicorn's carbon copy right now, and it's actually amazing to see because I mean you're getting such a great pocket of volleyball that I mean who thinks of volleyball when you think of Nashville? I'm sure people out there do, but I didn't.
I didn't either.
So I mean, here they are, with a semifinal run, and have great tournament for them,
yeah,
and
incredible.
Great going, and I mean, really putting themselves on the map, and the league's on notice now.
For sure, and you can't say enough about how difficult and how impressive it is to put a franchise together and bring them to their first tournament ever and look that comfortable and play that well. That's so hard to do. So hard to do, especially as demanding as our tournaments are, and the sort of cool, calm, collected level of volleyball that I saw from Nashville was really impressive to me. And yeah, 100% the league's on notice. So let's see. Dallas, one thing that we definitely got to talk about that we were talking about coming in is the Tier 2 West Division promotional race. And let me pull up the standings here because it was a race coming in between Dallas that had 23 coming in, San Diego Wave had 17, Team 9 I think had 13, Kingsman had something like 13 or 12 or so, and I gotta say, Vince, I don't think it's a race anymore. I don't think it's a race. I don't think it's a race anymore. Even though Team 9 won the tournament, they got that cup win. The fact that Dallas got 13 points from this one event is so crazy. And they're going to get four matches against tier 1 opponents when they play up in the West Division regular season in Phoenix in about a month. And they're going to get 4 more chances to beat both the Ascension and the Rising Tide, both of whom they just beat in this tournament. We could easily be talking like the most they could possibly get if they went 4-0 at that event is 16. It technically is possible for them to be promoted in less than a month. And I think between that and the VLA Cup that they will be at, I don't think there's any way anyone catches them to 50. I really don't. I don't want to like jump the gun or like count any chickens before any hatching or anything, but I think that Dallas played so well this weekend that all they have to do is continue to do at least something like that, and they're going to be playing in a tier 1 schedule next year. I really think so.
I agree 99.8%, and I'm going to show the 0.2% here, and everyone's going to think, oh, Team 9 because it's Vince's team. No, that's not actually Colorado Kingsman.
Dude, they looked awesome too.
And here is how. Colorado Kingsman intends to play a lot of volleyball the rest of this before VLA Cup. Not only are they playing in this, or they're going to be playing in a few exhibition matches in Phoenix. They've got the East Division Cup as well, where they can do really, really well if they travel as well as they did, which Dallas Dogs are not playing in anything after the Phoenix matches until the VLA Cup. Okay. So if, and is of course a big if, because Dallas Dogs is riding a high right now, if Rising Tide brings the formidable roster that they did last year to Phoenix, if Ascension, we will be bringing, our not to say we didn't bring our best squad last time, but injuries and whatnot, we will recover from those and we'll look pretty good in Phoenix. You got to perform in front of your home crowd, right? So, will Dallas get points? I think it's safe to say that they're probably going to get some points in Phoenix. Do they sweep all four matches? I mean, it's going to be a battle for them to do that.
It would be very difficult for anybody in any division to sweep all 4 matches unless your name is Team LVC. They're the only one that would ever get predicted to do that. But yeah, the West Division is loaded. Like that event last year, anytime you have Ascension, Rising Tide, and literally anybody else in the same building, you're going to get competitive ball. And I'm glad you brought up the Colorado Kingsmen because they were awesome this weekend. I was so impressed. They won their pool, which was remarkable. They were I think the 9 seed in the tournament, and they beat who they beat. I think they beat the Lost Travelers and then the Villains.
Yep.
It was, and the Villains made a semifinal run, and then the Kingsmen had the Rising Tide on the ropes too in the quarterfinal. Like that was a super good match. Big shout outs to Brian Modzaleski and the team that he brought. It was good to see AJ Nally play again. Both Basie brothers. I really like Seamus McDonough's setting. I really like Thomas Hurst on the outside. That was a good team. That was a pleasantly, surprisingly good team.
Yep. And I've been saying it. I mentioned it that they played some tournaments, didn't walk away with any points, but they're super motivated right now. They're working hard. I mean, the Dogs obviously doing what they did. I mean, that's pretty tough to come back from, and it's pretty tough to recover from for any team. But you're looking at a team that right now, I think the Kingsmen are definitely a team to watch just because of the amount of volleyball that they're playing. And you see what Unicorns have done with just constantly playing. You've seen last year with the Crimson, just teams that just gobble up points when they have the opportunity, and I think that the Kingsmen have the ability to do that because of how much they're playing. But I think the Dogs did really set themselves apart this last weekend, and I think that they are really setting themselves up to earn that promotion this year.
Which is exactly their goal, as we said during the broadcast, and even Daniel Jacobs came on the mic on Saturday and said it himself that that's what Dallas wants to do. They want to play in VLA Tier 1 next year, and they put themselves in a very good position. And they separated from their main competition coming in which we said was the San Diego Wave because they were 6 points separated and they played each other. And Dallas was significantly better in just about every way. I think they won that match. Was it 3-1?
Yeah, 3-1. Yeah.
And it was a convincing 3-1. So I thought San Diego had some high highs, but they had a couple sleepy moments too. They had little uncertainty at setter, little uncertainty at opposite. Not a huge amount of production in the middle. I thought Peyton Sherman on the left was really good, but San Diego playing at home, I was expecting maybe a little bit more than what we got.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially after last year and what they did last year at the VLA Cup, they're really going 3-1, only losing to, I believe,
Team NV, yeah,
Yeah, it was the only match that they lost. I expected them to perform a little bit better as well. Again, playing at home, but I mean, that's why we play the matches. Doesn't matter where you're at, you gotta perform, and I think that again, I'm not too convinced that Wave's goal is tier one. I think that they are content at this time just being a tier two team playing in their events. I don't see them traveling too much out of California at the moment. So, I mean, here we are, and you see exactly what Kingsman dogs are doing. I just don't think that there's really too much of a chance, and even Team Nine to that extent. I wouldn't see them even catching them at this point. With them not really intending to play too much more this year, but they still will be active.
Yeah,
I
they've
think
got
they'll more
the
be active than Wave.
right. Yeah, Wave's got the Long Beach regular season event, but I think that might be it, right?
Yeah, they're not intending to go to VLA Cup or anything either. So you'll see Dogs, Team Nine, and Kingsman all at VLA Cup. So I mean that right there kind of shows the direction that these three teams are going
Yep.
compared to Wave.
Yep. Last but not least in the West Division, I thought the Seattle Riptide and the NorCal Tall Ones both really elevated their games. These are teams that like this was their third West Division Cup for the both of them, and both of them I thought played significantly better ball than the last couple times we saw them. So I wanted to give them both a shout out. And the Phoenix Valor was kind of my one disappointment. I think they're the only team to not get any points. Maybe they got one from a five setter, I forget, but they definitely didn't win any matches and just didn't really look like they had any weapons to really beat anybody that was going to be ranked above them. So we'll see what they can put together and any more points they can grab in Arizona. But the next thing I wanted to look at was the Central Division race because we had two Central Division teams at this event. We talked about the Nashvilleans and how good they were in their debut. I think they got 7 points. They had 11 coming in. But look at that race at the top. We thought that this was Milwaukee Dive's division to lose as far as the race to 100 in the Central. Not anymore. The Kentucky Unicorns have caught them. They are down by 1 point. It's crazy. I really did not see this coming, but I should have. I should have with how much Kentucky plays and how good they are, kind of like you said, gobbling up points whenever they have opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers right there. 18 matches this year versus one.
Yep.
They're gonna get points, and especially because it's not like they're sending in, just random teams to play. I mean, this is a Unicorns team that is playing 18 matches. They are together. They have a consistent roster, and there it is, 74 and 75. This makes it extremely interesting because
Scary.
Here's the thing: Dive's going to play a few tournaments. They're now taking this race it may be a little late to jump into it, but I mean,
yeah.
now.
They're feeling the heat under their seat for sure because they've and Chandler North has done a phenomenal job with the Milwaukee Dive organization ever since they came into the league 2 years ago. They are taking it really seriously. Their goal is tier one, but I don't think they thought they had a competitor this close, and now they do. And now every one of those exhibition point chances is going to be massive. And Milwaukee is putting some together. They've got one a couple Fridays from now where they're going to try and grab some points against I think Gold and Swede and maybe like 630 Breeze or someone like that, or probably Madison Inferno. But Dive's level of activity is going to increase out of necessity. And I have a feeling that this might come down to what happens to both of the VLA Cup.
I agree. I think that because both teams are not playing the East Division Cup, They'll play Central Division Cup. They obviously can't get enough points at that to earn the promotion, to get to that 100 points. But both of them definitely can get out there and rack up enough to set themselves up to potentially get the promotion there. We may be watching a match that they could be, one of them could be fighting, and it could happen sometime. Both of them could hit 100 at the VLA Cup. Here's the crazy thing, we're gonna be have a stopwatch out there. Who does it first?
Seriously.
But no, it's gonna be a crazy race, and that's what's beautiful about this. We haven't seen anything like this before, where two teams are neck and neck, just grinding like this, and you can pretty much map out when it's possibly going to happen, and it's going to be really, really cool to see. And funny thing, because a couple text exchanges I had with both team reps at times, and Chandler North, I love the guy to death. I love what he's doing up there at Dive. I mean, his team's spectacular, and he messages me, and he's just like, I don't know who the Shane Green guy is, what he's doing, and it's just funny because it's like, yeah, seriously, like, I mean, I've known Shane since I played with him in Europe from, about 10 years ago, but it's just funny because not a lot of people know who Shane is, and I'm surprised he wouldn't be a Midwest guy, but then Shane the other day mentioned, we were talking to some people, and I said, hey, just stay, if you work hard, you blossom just like unicorns did. And someone in the text goes, well, how do you blossom like the unicorns? And he just said, it's simple: work hard. And
yep.
That's it. You get a team that works as hard as the unicorns, and nobody in the league, tier 1, tier 2, I don't care who it is working harder than the unicorns right now.
I completely agree with that. And the level of ball and the style of ball that they play is fun to watch too. And they got a couple new pieces in the mix. I was impressed by Will Andrews at outside hitter. I was impressed by Alex Voland, their new setter. And they did this all probably without their best attacker and Corey Peepers overseas. So
yeah, hopefully he's back. I don't know his status, but if he'll be back by VLA Cup even. Obviously, I think that unicorns are set up for tier 2 championships. I really hope he's back so that he can really help elevate their run this year.
For sure. So let's see. What else do you want, if anything, you want to talk about the West Division Cup? I think it was a huge success and brought some pretty unreal storylines that are kind of setting the tone for the whole season. You got anything else you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, no, I just think finishing off, obviously, Riptide, much better season, much better performance. NorCal Tall Ones, much better performance. Lost Travelers, staying consistent. Nothing against them. I mean, they're a good team, and again, you just don't want to see a team that you sleep on a team, they're going to beat you, right?
Yep.
And we say that all the time. And Lost Travelers are a team that I think that people are so aware of everyone anymore. No one goes into these tournaments and you're relatively unheard of. I think that you get one here, there, Nashvilleans and whatnot, but Lost Travelers have been grinding for 4 years now. And again, doing what they do. They go in, they play the tournaments, they get a handful of points here and there. And you don't really look forward to playing Lost Travelers as like, oh, this is going to be an easy win. You got to step up and play them. But still, I mean, they're consistent, and I still like what they're doing out there. So huge shout out to Terrence and some of those guys. I like the pickups they had. Chris Huseman.
Yep.
Hopefully he sticks with them throughout the year because he's a great pickup for him.
For sure. All right. So if any more detail that you want about the West Division Cup, check out the website page. It's what I've got up here on the screen, and every single match available on YouTube. If you can't find it, make sure you pick up a membership and look at the community tab. That's the place on the YouTube channel homepage. That's the easiest to find members only streams. And there's playlists of them too. So hopefully you can navigate and find on demand all the volleyball you want to watch. But yeah, all the match results, the bracket, the all tournament team, a link to the finals, all of that is here on the website if you're interested. So Vince, we're ready to move past that and look forward a bit to a certain event coming up in 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Central Division.
Me too. So I'm
NFC North of the VLA.
It 100% is the NFC North of the VLA. It has the exact same vibe as the NFC North, and I mean that in the best possible way as a huge fan of a team in the NFC North.
Yep, go Lions.
Shut up, Vince. Get out of here. I married into a Lions family, but I will never let my Green Bay Packers fandom go anywhere. So the NFC North of the VLA is kicking off this weekend, and it's in Chicago. It's in my backyard. I will be there Saturday and Sunday. This is a classic VLA event format: double round robin, 3 matches Saturday, 3 matches Sunday, all right here on YouTube. The Chicago Icemen, the Indiana Team Pineapple, and the Chicago Swede for the 3rd year in a row at this event. This is Swede's 2nd year in Tier 1 only, but they played up at that event to kick off the Central Division season all the way back in 2022. So these teams know each other extremely well. The NFC North division comparison is a very good one because these rivalries are hot. None of these teams like losing to each other in any way. And no matter who comes in with what offseason moves, which we'll talk about in a second, this division is very unpredictable because remember last year we weren't very high on Team Pineapple coming in, and they walked out in first place after the first event going 3-1. So anything can happen here.
Yeah, no, I mean that was a surprise. I think that last year I was all about teams, Swede. That's I thought that they were going to be the ones that really represented the best. I like the way that Swede plays, but yeah, Team Pineapple was the one that really came out and exceeded expectations. And I will say, looking at their roster this year. There's something to be said about the classic Team Pineapple. When you think Team Pineapple, obviously first and foremost you think Volleyball, right? I mean that's Team Pineapple. But then you think of the OGs. You got Jeff Petak, you got Will Robbins. You always got to recognize, and so they carry a lot of clout just from that, right? So then you come back and you dial it down, and one of the things that they've been missing over the years is the consistency, the bro status of that group. You look at consistent, good teams. They are not just going out and playing volleyball, but they're doing so much more together as a group, right? Well, I'm looking at this roster and I'm seeing a lot of familiar names. And if these names, you got Tony Price, Evan Jeber, you got Kyle Ratty, Harpenow,
Bruno,
Pele's coming back.
Pele,
We've got these guys who have been playing together for a long time, right? Now it is a long time. I mean, before when they first came out in 2020, 2021, I mean, they weren't playing together a lot. This was a brand new group, but now this is 4 years in. I think this team starts becoming dangerous again.
Yeah, I would like to agree because we've talked about Team Pineapple a lot in the past, and the analogy I like to use, I know this division is the NFC North. Team Pineapple is the New England Patriots of the VLA, and Volleyball obviously was Tom Brady because long before the VLA ever existed, back in the PVL era, like 2012 through 16, Team Pineapple dominated, and Team Pineapple dominated on the shoulders of Volleyball and all of those guys that you mentioned: Jeff Petak, Will Robbins, Lauren Gebert, even Kevin Owens, Sean Dryden, Jorge Rolat for sure, MVP of one of those PVL years, like
Ivan Matos.
I mean, come on, like Paul Fasshauer, Daryl Shank, like Chris Gislin. There's so many. The New England Patriots comparison is a very good one, I think. It's taken them several years to figure out how to try and recapture that, and I haven't really seen it, at least since the VLA's inception. They've had a couple decent events here and there. I wouldn't say they've put together one really good full season in the VLA yet. And with some of these names coming back on the roster makes me optimistic that we might be starting to see that. Because Bruno is a monster. Bruno Amorim, the Brazilian, who can play either wing, is an absolute machine. And even he's got to be either 40 years of age now or very close. But regardless, he is outstanding. And you bring Pellegrin Vargas back in. I mean, this guy's been the captain of the Puerto Rican national team at the FIVB World Championship. Like, he's got the highest of levels of experience. And Gebert and Price, and Gebert lives in Chicago now. He's been playing a little ball around here. Gebert and Price is a very good outside hitter duo. Harpenow is a very good middle. He's been around forever. My question is, who's going to set this team and who's going to play libero? Because you don't have Sean Dryden, at least this weekend. I know he lives on the East Coast now. There is a massive difference in Team Pineapple with Dryden and libero versus without. And then this Jesus Serrano character is a new setter that I see on the roster that I just don't know very much about. So I'm just curious to see him and see how that all can connect. But the offensive weapons, I think, could be there. It's the bringing it all together, and I think that setter and libero position are what I really have my eyes on.
You look at this group right here, right, and you think in the libero spot too. I mean, we're looking at Tyler Ferguson, Francisco Comas. I I don't know a whole lot about them. I know you're saying kind of the same thing, but as far as the attackers go, I mean, if you put a Joe Kaliakamoa in that group, or even just Gabe Quinones, like someone who can put that consistent ball where these guys need it. I think that that's what this team needs. I don't know, and we'll see, this weekend if Jesus Serrano is the guy. But I think that that's really what this group needs is that one guy and that one piece, that one leader to really take this team to another level. Again, and we're breaking them down first. We're not picking favorites for the division or anything like that right now. But I'm just saying, for them to compete at a better level than they have since the VLA started, they haven't made the playoffs in a legitimate fashion.
Ooh, yeah, I guess
Ever.
that's true. Yeah, because
They finished seventh each year. I mean, I think that they had the potential at least to get to make a run at a legitimate playoff position, but whether or not we're talking about division champions or anything like that, I don't think that the pin hitters are strong enough. I think the middles can compete. If Matt Walsh was there, maybe
that would
and
help.
add him, he would be a big help to that. But again, I think that this group is still very, very talented, very good, very competitive. It's really going to just kind of fall on the shoulders, no pressure. Jesus Serrano, and then the libero squad.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, and they're at a bit of a disadvantage, at least in this division, of that they're not able to practice together as much as their two competitors. And these two Chicago teams, we can start with Swede. These two Chicago teams are in the gym constantly. I live in Chicago. I am very aware of what's going on around here with everything volleyball and with everything that's going on between these two teams. There's even been some exchanging of players within this division, which we'll get to. But Swede has been hitting the gym hard. They had a huge turnout at their tryouts, so big, in fact, they were able to create a tier 2 team, the Chicago Vibes, just to sort of support the program. Very similar to what you've done, Vince, with the Ascension. I think you two are now the only tier 1 teams with a direct tier 2 affiliate.
So what you're saying is Vibes is probably going to win the Central Division Cup.
Could you imagine? I think Jordan Smith might lose his mind, but but no, Swede is rock solid. I think the one thing that they were missing last year in their first tier 1 season is a little bit of outside hitter depth, and they got it. They pulled Austin Neese away from Team Pineapple, who was second team All VLA for them last year. And they also get Ethan Carroll back playing a little bit more full time. Carroll was probably their best player at the 2022 Tier 2 Championship when they secured the promotion. He was playing on the right side at the time. Then he goes to Denmark for a bit. He goes to Puerto Rico for a bit. Now he can play either wing. And you add Carroll and Neese to what you already had in Klosak and Chris Bulava. And now you have 4 outside hitters that you can just plug in anywhere. And you've got opposite depth, you've got middle blocker depth, and you pick up a new setter in Jake Snyder, who played on Southside XP before, who is very underrated and I think is going to impress a lot of people. So I am a big fan of every one of these offseason moves that Swede made.
Yeah, Evan Lindley, wasn't he forced?
Lindley was basically the reason that the Northeast Force made the playoffs last year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's that second event in Boston. They went 3-1, and Lindley was by far the best player in the gym, and that's a massive pickup. Big physical lefty who hits gnarly angles. But Isaac Sageman is very good. Both liberos are very good. Eric Shizak was second team All VLA last year. Like, this team is no joke, and they've been in the gym a lot. And the 2 Chicago versus Chicago games we're going to see this weekend are going to be spicy. Cannot wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And the roster, we talk about this a lot, consistency here. They got some new additions, but I mean, they've got guys who are just key historic figures right here. I mean, Ethan Klosik, obviously, you think of Sweden, you think of him,
Yep.
honestly. I mean, he's been such a key figure for him for so long. And
I like
so,
to say pound for pound, maybe the best, or inch for inch, maybe the best player in the VLA. A 6 foot, six rotation outside hitter who can do it all. I love his game.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, again, last year I was all about Team Swede. Guess what? This year I'm all about Team Swede
Oh
again.
yeah, you're running it back, run back the
I'm
pick.
going with him. No offense to Tim. I know that he'll give it to me again like he always does. But I mean, again, I like Jordan's motivation. I like the moves he's making. I like his he's always trying to find what's best for his program, and he's done a great job of it. And here he is again putting together an even better roster than he did last year. I think they just have so much potential. And I think that they just last year, I mean, again, you don't expect Team Pineapple to kind of come out of nowhere. You take the guy who took, matches off of you, in Austin Neese, put him on your roster, and now all of a sudden, you're in a good position. So I like the moves they made, and I think that they definitely have the potential to do some damage this year.
Totally. This is kind of what fuels these Central Division rivalries. I mean, you've got Nice playing against his old team. You've got Lindley, who is like he played on the East Coast in college, but he's very much a Chicago guy and knows the scene. Mike Boduk, remember, won a championship with the Icemen in 2021, and he's going to play against his former team. Jake Snyder, a former Southside XP guy, like I said, is playing up at the Tier 1 level now. Like the storylines are just so awesome, and I can't wait because the other Chicago team we got to talk about is my pick to win this division. They did it last year. The Chicago Icemen won the Central Division Cup last year. They were definitely the best team in the division throughout the year. And even though none of these teams in this division made appearances at the playoffs, the Icemen showed the highest level, especially at the Central Division Cup that they won. And they went out and they made a couple season-changing moves. One of them is to steal Jack McGuire away from Swede. The one criticism I have of Jordan Smith and the way that Jordan has run Swede the last couple years is that he has developed a bit of a pattern of alienating setters, because Jordan is a setter and Jordan likes to play. And there are setters like Jack McGuire, for example, who wasn't thrilled with the amount of time that he was getting on Swede in big matches last year. And he jumped at the chance to become another piece of the puzzle for the Chicago Icemen, who already has Sunil Thomas. Now, Sunil will be around this weekend. Sunil's one of the best setters in the league. Sunil had a baby, so congrats to him and his wife, Tina, by the way. Sunil had a baby pretty recently, so his availability is going to be off and on. But Jack McGuire coming over to the Chicago Icemen, I think, says a lot about what was going on there between those two teams. The other thing that my other main concern with the Icemen was what they were going to do at outside hitter, because last year we saw them slowly lose their outside hitter options either to injury or to just a lack of availability. And one of the things that they were able to do that we saw at the Central Division Cup that was so insane was they moved Dave Hancock, a VLA champion middle blocker, to the left side. What they've done this year is they have decided to move Hancock to the left side full time to be in the picture, really with just Kyle Overby and Lewis Richard. It's really kind of those three guys. And the reason why they were able to do that with one of their prime middle blockers, as I scroll down, is because of the pickup of Andre Brown. This is the single biggest offseason move in the VLA. The biggest. I am not overstating this. Andre Brown, 6 months ago, was playing in the CEV Champions League. He was one of the best middle blockers in all of Europe. He played for the second best team in Germany in VfB Friedrichshafen. I was commentating his Champions League games as he was racking up like 15 points in 3 sets with like 6 blocks against the best teams in Europe. And Andre Brown is a Canadian guy. He's from Mississauga, just outside of Toronto. But his fiance is from Chicago. He's in Chicago now. He's playing for the Icemen. That superstar pickup in the middle has enabled Tim Faulkner to move Dave Hancock to the left where they need him badly. That pickup, not only just because Andre is probably he might be the best middle in the league now, it enables them to move Hancock to a huge position of need. And I can't overstate just how dominant Andre Brown will be at the VLA level. Just wait and see this weekend. He could almost single-handedly win the Iceman this division. He's that good.
That's pretty bold statement for a 3 rotation player.
I know.
But we've seen this before, as Blake Leeson has done many amazing things over with LVC playing in the East Division. So it's not like it hasn't been done before, but it's not a small feat for a middle to do. So no, it's gonna be really interesting to see these guys and how they perform, how they adapt. I mean, Jack McGuire, obviously you saw him with Swede last year. He was a big proponent for them. And then Sunil Thomas's availability has always been kind of a crutch for the Icemen. And a lot of stuff would fall on Tim Faulkner to try to carry the load. So it's really good that they did pick up a second setter. It's very, very important. One of the things that's extremely important for a team to have is that ability to manage 2 top level setters. Because I mean, they're only playing 4 matches. I know, you got guys who like to be the guy. They want to play 4 matches, 3 matches, especially in a setter position or a libero position where, you can probably do it. It's important to be able to share the wealth. It's important for guys to understand, hey, my 2 matches, are these ones, and then, I'll get an opportunity. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that Jack's going to get a lot of opportunities with Sunil in his circumstances. But at the same time, when it comes down to who do you play in that starting role, I mean, hopefully Tim has that conversation with both of them and they both have an understanding and support each other, because that actually could make or break this team for a potential championship run.
It could.
So, I mean, and we talk a lot about, Team Pineapple and, Team Pineapple making playoffs. We talk about Swede making playoffs. We talk about Iceman and we talk about them. Can they beat LVC in the championship
to win a championship? Yep.
And that's kind of how we have these discussions. So really that's what it's going to come down to, I think, this year. And not saying that Iceman's going to win the division or anything like that. And I'm not, I'm still going Swede. They're the team that I think that I still like Jordan's moves, but when it comes down to it, who's going to win a VLA Cup, who's going to win a Tier 1 championship, I think Iceman's the front runner in this division.
Another couple moves. One that the Icemen get Kyle Overby back on a more regular basis. He didn't play as much last year, but was first team All VLA the season before. They also get Colin Hackworth, who is a very interesting story. All tournament at which VLA Cup was it? 21?
21, yep.
21.
Sport Connects.
Right, back when he lived in the Bay Area, was playing for Sport Connects. I mean, this dude won the Czech League as a starting opposite, like back when he was playing overseas. 6'9", just monster on the right side. Him and Griffin Shields are as good of an opposite duo as you could ever ask for. Hackworth's been struggling to get healthy since he moved to Chicago, but he is now. So that's huge. And then you get Brandon Poindexter back a little full time as well. He was dealing with some back issues last year. He's back. He's ready to go. And you have, in my opinion, the best libero in the league in Colin Merck. I mean, first team All VLA last year. So not just my opinion.
Two years in a row.
2 years in a row.
3 years in a row. Yeah, Colin Merck has been pretty much the guy at libero for Tier 1. But yeah, and back on the Colin Hackworth thing, I mean, right now you're looking at Sunil Thomas, who was a first team All VLA. You got Colin Merck, first team All VLA multiple years. You got Kyle Overby, who's All VLA selection. Then you got Colin Hackworth. Colin Hackworth should have been that year when he played with Sport Connects. He should have been first team All VLA. He would have been my pick for sure had they completed the season, but unfortunately his team did not. So they were ineligible for that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, if he's healthy and playing the way he was when he was playing in the West Division in 2022, I don't think there's a better opposite you can ask for in the league.
Totally agree. So I also know that the Icemen have been locked in practice, and they've got just a different approach and a different intentionality to how they practice, a little bit more European influence. I know Dave Hancock, Lewis Richard have been taking some control there. A lot of advice from Andre Brown and how they teach blocking, a lot of advice in how they teach out of system attacking and block coverage and defense. And I expect both Chicago teams to come in on Saturday morning because they do play the first match. I expect them to come in looking like well-oiled machines. These teams are absolutely locked in and ready to play. And that's what I'm kind of curious as we look at the schedule about Team Pineapple, because they haven't played together as a group nearly as much. How long will it take them to figure it out? I think that by the time they do, they might already be 0-2 because it's going to be difficult for them to get any points on Saturday. I think if they want to do some damage to this event, it's going to be on day 2 once they figure themselves out a bit.
Yeah, it will probably take them a little bit to get rolling. But again, I mean, if you look at the actual experience with these guys, Team Pineapple's group, other than their setter and libero, have been playing since 2020, where Iceman and Swed, a little bit, some more changes, a little, but key additions. So, I mean, you look at who you're adding in there. If you're adding a Colin Hackworth to the group as opposed to maintaining, some of the other guys from Team Pineapple, you definitely add the Colin Hackworth to your squad. So, yeah, I think that looking at the division, potentially the strongest division in the VLA, Team Pineapple definitely has their work cut out for them. And but then, I mean, Iceman and Swede do as well, which makes this division as fun as it is.
Yeah. This is going to be electric. So if you're in Chicagoland, come on out. This is at the DuPage Event Center in Wheaton. It's a new venue for us that we're really excited about. Big shout out to Tim Faulkner for making the connection and getting us this opportunity. It's going to be a good event, good atmosphere. There's going to be a couple courts of like sort of I think there's a co-ed tournament that Tim put together just to get some more balls flying in the gym, which is great. So come on out if you're in the area, or you can watch right here on YouTube. Every match will be right here, which is awesome. So this is going to be a lot of good storytelling opportunity. I'm going to have a bunch of guys from these 3 teams on the mic with me as we're talking throughout these games, just to tell some stories and give us some context about the history of this division, the history of these rivalries, even long before the VLA. And I'm just really excited to get to just teach people about how long these guys have been playing volleyball against each other. I think that's going to be so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, you think about just even Iceman and Team Pineapple from the PVL days. I mean, we're passing
like
10
2013.
Years.
Yeah, we're talking 10 years ago.
Yeah, over 10 years ago. I mean, these teams that formed and been playing. Swedes right up there. I mean, I think mid 2010s somewhere.
They've been a big part of the Chicago scene. I would guess. I'll have to ask Jordan. I'd say probably 2016, maybe 17.
Yeah, I mean, I've known about them from about that long as well. So, I mean, so this is, you're going on decades of rivalries here, and so three of the oldest teams in the league right now, and you always look forward to these matchups because they're just classic matchups. Even doesn't matter who's on the roster, you see the logos and battling it out, and that's what makes this division special.
100%. So, Mr. Zanzucchi, anything else you want to cover, or is that a wrap for episode 3 of this season of the show?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything for this one. But again, definitely looking forward to this grind of matches, or this. We've got what 6 weeks right now of volleyball coming up. We've got I don't know. Check it out, USAVLA.com. We got all the schedule there. We're getting rosters updated. We will have it integrated soon enough with Stat Together to where you'll see all the statistics and everything like that. But I mean, just the first event of the season, couldn't ask for a better one. The West Division Cup. Big shout out to Team 9, Tyler Gardenhire and the guys. And now we move on to Central Division, and we just kind of start hopping across the country from there.
It's the way we do it. Yeah, definitely check out the website. It's a fantastic resource. We're really happy with it. It's been a big time investment this offseason getting this thing ready to go. So check it out. Use it as a resource. And, of course, right here on YouTube where you can see all the matches live. Make sure you pick up a membership. Link should be in the description, I think. Maybe I forgot to put it in there. Yeah, the link's not in the description, but you can press the join button, join right next to the subscribe button, or we'll walk you through it this weekend if you need to. If you need to pick up a membership, just $1.99 to support the VLA and support men's professional volleyball to watch all the games. So you're in the right place. We will see you on Saturday morning. I will be there. Vince, I know you'll be in the YouTube live chat chirping us as we do all the games.
I'll be watching those games at my kids' hockey game. So
Perfect. So thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on Saturday morning, and we'll see you on Around the VLA soon enough.